to Earth podcast, the Down to Earth Network, with your host, Sean Myrie. Please like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, and iHeartRadio, all podcast platforms. This episode is an update, and it's called What Happened to Epstein, right? Some people may think it's not important, but obviously Epstein was associated with a lot of important people out there. Very important people that control industries, influence all types of stuff. So the 3 million files that was released over the last couple of months, we only getting a little bit of the information in those 3 million files. So recently, there was some news talking about Epstein, a record or some type of documents of him before the suicide. Him basically talking about suicide, right? So that has just recently came out that he has some type of recording or documents of himself, I don't know, planning a suicide or talking about basically death. I don't know if that's true or facts, but one thing I do know, the Epstein files, they've been trying to cover it up for years and years and years because of the nature of the sensitive topics, the sensitive issues in regarding Jeffrey Epstein. But recent news also, Grizzlane, whatever, Maxwell, she wants to overturn her conviction. So this woman, this lady who's been locked up, who's associated with Jeffrey Epstein, she feels that she should be coming out of prison, that she should not be spending no time in prison. That's how she feels. So her wanting to come out of prison because of updates in the case. Bill Gates, he testified recently in the Epstein files. It's still going on, the Epstein files. The trials or whatever, it's still going on, but no one's really talking about it. But it is going on. This is so sensitive that government officials had to step down or they had to play like they got fired, right? Pam Bondi, remember her? She was in charge of helping release the Epstein files. They replaced her. They made it look like she got fired. But because the case was looking bad, that she had the information on her desk for weeks and weeks and didn't do no investigation, it looked bad. But Cash Patel is the guy, the head of the FBI, who took up the Epstein files, right? Bless up everybody in the chat. He took up the Epstein files, Cash Patel. Remember, it was Bush, I mean, not Trump. I was about to say Bush. It was Trump who decided to release these files, right, to help himself out. Everybody was interested in these files. But now, recent news, documents, more files are coming out, but we're not really paying attention to it. It's not viral. They got the war as the distraction. They got other things out there as a big distraction. But Epstein stuff has to deal with important people, probably government officials, uh, people with influence. And if they get exposed, like Pam Bondi was saying, it would crash the system. I don't know how it would crash the system, what it would do. She's saying that that's why these files took so long to come out. Kind of, that's what she's pointing. She doesn't work for the government anymore, right? Because if she worked for the government, she would have to testify. So they set it up in a way that she got fired or released because they can't get her like before as a government official. Now she's fired or whatever, released from her position, Pam Bondi. So these Epstein files is still a mystery. Much respect, 10. These Epstein files is still a mystery. 3 million files, they claim. 3 million? That's how much they said. 3 million files are out, released, and Bill Gates is the guy who recently testified. He's the one who recently testified, and he claimed that he didn't really know Epstein, but he's been around Epstein. So they brought out the billionaire. Who's next? Will Donald Trump take the stand? He claimed earlier, a couple months ago, he would testify if they called him to testify. I don't know about that. But people, please subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff. The reason the Epstein stuff, they're trying to bury it because it's scary to the government, it's scary to the system. They don't want none of that information about rich, influential people that people may know to hit the media because it would be really bad. But this shows you the system protects predators, right? Because you're telling me if Jeffrey Epstein was running this network of trafficking, that we don't know the customers? Where's all the customers of Jeffrey Epstein? We're talking about him doing trafficking to underage girls. Who's his customers? Have they looked into that? Are they investigating that? Who's the customers? You know why they don't want to really investigate? Because those people are important people, right? Donald Trump been brought up into this whole thing. I saw something on Jeffrey Epstein that he had a beef with Donald Trump. He had a beef with Donald Trump. I think especially the first time when he was doing his elections to become the president. So somewhere down the line, Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump had broken up that relationship. Something happened. We don't know. I know that Donald Trump claims that he broke off any type of his relationship with Epstein, what the late '90s, early 2000s. He claimed he broke off that relationship, that he wasn't around him after that. But people are still putting Donald Trump with the Epstein files. Conspiracy theorists, a lot of them have put Donald Trump in the Epstein files doing a lot of dirty shit. That's what they claim, allegedly. They put Bill Clinton, he was in that too. There's pictures with Bill Clinton, with Epstein. That could be AI. Has he claimed that it's AI? I don't know if it's that.
You have the mic?
Hold on.
There
I'm
it
live
is.
right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So right now, Mr. Epstein's story is getting buried. It's big. You can't deny it, but you have to look on the machine, what they put out there. It's really getting buried. They really done a good job on making a lot of distractions in the media. So this story will just, try to go away. It's not really going to go away because the conspiracy theorists will keep talking about it. Uh, oh, much respect from Colombia. Yes, and he was involved in trafficking also. What I was saying, Anthony, I'm talking about how this story, the Epstein story, how they're trying to bury it, but it's really kind of impossible. But a lot of politicians and a lot of important people was getting services from Epstein as a trafficker. And they always associate trafficking with cartels from South America. So I talked in a couple of episodes before. Let's put the pieces to the puzzle. If if Epstein, guys like Epstein was doing trafficking, who was he doing trafficking with? Was he doing it by himself or was he getting help? I doubt he was doing it by himself. So who was helping Epstein? Right? It goes back to these traffickers, some from other parts of the world, but especially stereotypically, they'll say South America, right? So Donald Trump right now is attacking those people down there because he knows that that's the business what Epstein was part of, right? So, like I'm saying, people are trying to dig things up. They're trying to associate the president as also being a person who was doing things with Epstein with underage girls, allegedly. That's what is put out there. right? They put that out there with Donald Trump, that Donald Trump's been with underage girls. Oh yes, Epstein, they were all in both. Yep, Epstein. If you look him up, he was a big supporter of the Democrats with when Bill Clinton was in charge, right? And his wife. He supported a lot of those Democrats for years, right? For years. For years, he supported a lot of the Democrats, Epstein. So when they put, what's her name, Hillary Clinton on trial or whatever in the Congress for a couple hours, that was because they know there was an association between Epstein and the Clintons. The Clintons was forced to go testify. They didn't want to testify. They were forced to go there. They were fighting not, and then they claim that they're gonna participate, right? So the Epstein story right now, people are talking about it, but not enough. I'm actually telling you, it's not enough because of all the shit what you see them talking about, which can be important. This is very important because this shows you that there's like hundreds of men who are doing involved in trafficking, right? This big type of trafficking, what Epstein was doing. He was giving a service to hundreds of wealthy men and then disappeared because he's done? No, I don't think so. This is probably still going on, but they got to be more careful, right? So Epstein was providing a service, a network for people who are wealthy men to be with prostitutes and probably underage girls, right? Right now, the Maxwell lady, she's fighting to overturn her conviction. She's been fighting to come out of prison for a while. She's actually fighting to overturn her conviction because she is saying that the prosecutors for Epstein, they were working something against her case. She's trying something to come out right now. She tried to get a pardon from Trump. She was trying to get a pardon from Donald Trump, and that did not work. It's like she was trying to blackmail him in some type of way, bless up OG Kicks. She tried to get a pardon from Donald Trump. But this is some serious shit. This whole Epstein, this Jeffrey Epstein thing, and people are still taking it as a joke. That a lot of the missing children, for example, for years, this could explain it. The missing children in America or wherever, especially in America, you got to question if this man was part of a lot of those missing children, right? Because when he was caught, he was caught years after still doing it. When he was caught in what, 2000, let's see, what year was it? I think it was 2010 or something. When he was caught for it the first time and he got off, they allowed him, or he was around for almost 12 years after that. So you got to check that, right? Better start with Holly Weird. Yeah, it's all in Hollywood. It's all in Hollywood. People, please subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff. Yep. You got to check in Hollywood because, like I said, you got to see what type of business Epstein was doing. Epstein was a financier. Epstein was a guy to provide help for wealthy, mostly men. He was watching over their money, giving maybe them advice and some type of advice. He was like a counselor to the wealthy, right? So he was hustling wealthy men. If you know Epstein's story, where he comes from, this guy was like a teacher. I don't even know if he was even a real teacher. And after then, he impressed some wealthy men in Wall Street, man, right? Became part of some investment groups and shit like that. And this man doesn't even have all the education, to reflect his success. His education doesn't reflect the success what he had with the money. But that's how he got to deal with Donald Trump. Donald Trump was somebody with money, and he was a person to handle money. So the Epstein story right now, what's bad, it's it's I don't think I don't think people are gonna care. I don't think they're gonna talk about it anymore as much unless somebody gets exposed who's known fully. Someone has to really be exposed in the Epstein stuff, meaning get arrested for people to care. No one has gotten arrested. Epstein's dead. The ladies locked up. They've been bringing up all these names in the files. People are hoping to see other people get locked up. Nobody else is locked up. But the whole story about Epstein is he's a big trafficker of people, of women, and you don't even know who these people are, right? I like to see them get Ellen DeGeneres and Oprah Winfrey. Yes, that's been like the conspiracy talk, and I covered that about the Ellen DeGeneres and the Oprah Winfrey. Those are Hollywood people. I don't think unless they really have some real evidence, they're gonna even those people are gonna get locked up. And even if they have some evidence, they probably want them to pay them off. I believe they could still pay people off. You get me? Like Oprah would have to give up a lot of money so she wouldn't get exposed if there's some evidence there. Same thing with Ellen DeGeneres. They would have to pay up some money so they don't get exposed. But if they don't pay, they will expose them. If they don't pay, they will expose them if they're part of it for real. But yeah, right now we could talk about the war. We could talk about Donald Trump. We could talk about a lot of stuff. But one thing people stop talking about, and this is people got to see this, is this guy who represents more men like him. It's not just Epstein. There's probably like 100 more like him, right? No NDAs, no payoffs. Yep. This man, what happened? He been doing it so long. This was what happened with Epstein. He's been doing it so long, so successful that as he got older, he got more careless and what so his carelessness caught up to him and the people he was abusing and he was coming to the newer age, right? The information age. Then that's what screwed him up because I think this first conviction was 2010 or 2012 or something like that. Around that time, that's when social media was changing. So when he got known is when social media started to change. He was doing shit way before the social media was getting popular. Right? Think of it. If Epstein was doing stuff from the late 80s, he was getting away with it for a long time. So soon as the 2000s came, things was changing, right? And then social media came in and people knew who Epstein is. This guy was behind the scenes for years as some financier money man, right? Virginia Guffrey is dead now. Oh, yes, yes, yes. The pictures, see the thing? They have pictures out there. And I was saying this about AI. This is what the thing is with this AI stuff. It's a reverse psychology that now people could always say, oh, that's AI, or they could question something that could be real and they will make it into fake. So, something like those pictures, what we see out there with Prince Andrew, this guy is in the pictures, but he still denies that he was part of anything with Epstein. So I just gotta say, that's what's going on. There's the AI stuff going on, so people could question stuff, and they could say that it's fake. So that's what's going on right now. Um, Epstein recently they claim there's some letters or some type of video or audio, not no video, letters and maybe audio. I don't know how they have audio of him talking about suicide. So just gonna look up that. That's an update of Mr. Epstein, what happened to him, because they're not talking about uh, Epstein right now. No one knows what's happening. We know that he's dead. We know that they have that lady in there, but they still have people testifying, right? Need to send playground extraction specialists. Yes, they still got people testifying. Meanwhile, people think it's all finished. They got Bill Gates, a billionaire. He used to be the richest man in the world. He's testified. Bill Clinton's testify. Hillary Clinton has testified. There's more people they plan to testify. Remember, there's 3 million files. It's not like a little bit of files. 3 million files. That's a lot of stuff to go through. That could take a couple of years to go through all those 3 million files. Who's part of these files? If there's important people a part of these files, why don't they tell us? If there's no important people in part of these a part of these files, it's a waste of time. But they're not telling you if there's any important people part of these files. If Donald Trump is in these files, we're not gonna find out until Donald Trump's either dead or he's not the president anymore. So that's what's going on. Yep, a whole bunch of distractions. So this was the story what was going on, and we could actually say now the war. My evidence, what I came up. Oh well, yes. My conclusion now, I could say and confirm, the war is the distraction for this whole Epstein shit. The war was really a desperate, very very desperate distraction to cover up Epstein files. Also, yes, this, I could confirm it. The war, I say it again, was made to distract off of the Epstein files. They're getting too deep into that, and other stuff was coming up. So I could, before I was saying that it was the other, like it was a mixture. No, it's fully a full distraction. They don't want to talk about this. This is the American nightmare. This is one big nightmare that they don't want to talk about. It's almost like the attempted assassination on Donald Trump on his birthday. They don't want to talk about certain stories because it makes them look stupid. You get what I mean? This guy was working in some type of government operation. That's why it's so sensitive. This guy was working, they claimed, the conspiracy theorists would say he was working with Israel as Mossad, like an agent, that he was doing some type of secret type of agent stuff for Israel against America, and then vice versa. He was working for the CIA and a whole bunch of that shit. So, who do you believe? And you know what? I could kind of believe the government link because his first charge, the government made a deal with him. Those type of charges, normally people go to prison for a long time. This man had like house arrest or some bullshit. He didn't really serve no hard time when he got charged the first time. So it was like the government made a deal with him, right? So this guy's not a normal, whatever, rich, wealthy financier. He worked with some government stuff. In other words, in time sweep is under the rug. Yep, yep. And they want to push this under the rug because if Epstein was working with Prince Andrew, just look up Prince Andrew. Look that guy, those characters up. Who Prince Andrew is and how important he what he could do when he had power. Prince Andrew is the son of the queen, and his father, the brother of King Charles. This guy was in charge of a lot of stuff, before when they trusted him with finances, money. He was in charge of a lot of stuff for England, the UK, Prince Andrew, and he was good friends with Epstein. You see, so you got Prince Andrew, almost like best friends with Epstein. So you telling me he didn't know what Epstein was into? They arrested that man about 4 months ago or something like that, and then they released him. And then you hear them talking about him, and then that's the guy in the picture with that girl who that girl Jeffries. Why can't common Americans focus on the real enemies? That's is the elite. They don't want. Well, I think some of them will, and some of them won't, right? Because they'll think that it's like the elites. Who's the elites? They're wondering when we're talking about look for the elites. It's a lot of them in America too, and around the world, but in America, right? So Epstein was charged by America. This is the real story. Charged by being an agent, and he had dirt on him. He had dirt by doing the trafficking and the prostitution. Now, this is where the government's guilty. You think that they didn't know he was doing this for years? You think they didn't know Epstein was doing all of this stuff for a long time? No, yes, they did know he was doing all of this stuff. They knew he was doing a lot of this shit for a good while, but when they found out he's doing something, making money outside of America, benefiting from all these wealthy, rich men all around the world, that money they couldn't see fully. And then he was doing all this stuff with trafficking, and then with the underage girls. That's what was his, you know, came his downfall after, right? So this man had a network, but America's covering it up. This is the biggest, that's why the war is the distraction. All these stuff they're telling us about is a distraction. This alien disclosure is a distraction. The list goes on, right? Elites, Soros, Hollywood, Rockefellers, yeah, Dukes, Trumps, Gates, Zuckerbergs. Yes, all the families right now in America needs Trump to do what he's doing right now, because a lot of those families, Epstein was the finance, he was the guy working with them. Who you think Epstein really is, besides talking about him doing trafficking and being with underage girls? Who do you think Epstein really is? When you do your deep dive search, he was important to a lot of figures, important to a lot of people who are like financially very wealthy all around the world. So he was the one giving some advice to, like giving advice to people. So, and this is the guy who knows a lot of secrets about the government. He knows a lot of secrets about the government. And they said he had suicide. Suicide. A guy like that, high profile, suicide, got away, killing himself in prison. He got away with that, right? Because Epstein blackmailed a lot of people. Yes, he blackmailed a lot of people, and that's what the people want. They want to know who he blackmailed. That's the key. They want to know who did Epstein blackmail, right? So there's a lot of people he blackmailed who are important, right? People want to know who are these people. They act like Epstein was dealing with people on the street, like it was some street people. He was dealing with people who are elites. And what an elite is, these are people who have like hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billionaires. He was dealing with them. So if he was a trafficker, unless they changed up his description, what he was doing, if he was trafficking women, where's the stories? Where's those stories? How come you're not hearing it? You hear about victims. If he was doing trafficking, who was he trafficking? What kind of trafficking was he doing? Because there's probably different types. How long was he doing the trafficking for? Do they tell you? There's more to it. The only story you hear is this man, right, got arrested for what he got arrested for, and then he end up dying by hanging or whatever, suicide in prison, right? Think of it. That's why the conspiracy theorists, a lot of them, don't believe that that happened. They don't believe that happened. A lot of conspiracy theorists don't believe Epstein had died that way. They believe something else, right? So, right now, this story, Epstein's story, is getting suppressed. It's getting suppressed by the media, even though you might see it out there. It's getting suppressed because they don't want the other people to get exposed, right? Talking about Epstein, you need to state that I'm not suicidal or drug dependency low. Talking about Epstein, he needs to state that I'm not suicidal or drug dependency. Yeah, he said he was he wrote some letters. They claim some type of letters recently. They put it out there that he had some letters talking about himself, basically, like maybe he was suicidal. They're trying to make it look like these were some suicidal type of written stuff, right? Because remember, there's a conspiracy that he didn't kill himself. So they're putting out right now on social media that he had some, I don't know if it's papers that he was writing on or some recordings, but like I'm saying, that story, you're not hearing about it. But there's Epstein news claiming they found some type of maybe documents he was writing about certain stuff, angry about Trump. One thing would stand out, he was cursing Trump in prison. Why? So, like it or not, even if he was suicidal, one thing he was pointing out, what they claim, this could be even whoever hates Trump, but they're saying that Epstein was cursing out Trump or saying something about Donald Trump when he was locked up in the prison. So, put that put that out there. Talking about Donald Trump. So, will we see Donald Trump testify? I don't know. But it would be smart for him to do some type of testify to make himself look like he's not part of the Epstein stuff, right? That'd be smart for him to do. Testify to make himself look like he's not part of the Epstein stuff. We shall see. People, please subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff. But yeah, you see why I had him eating the pizza in the background, Epstein? Because of the Pizzagate stuff. There's some other nasty stuff. They're saying pizza was like a code word, right? Some type of code word for like underage girls or some shit like that, right? So he had a code, a language, some code words, yo. Who was reading these codes? Who was with all these codes? That's another thing. If Epstein was using code words to do his whole operation, who understand these whole codes? Who is communicating these stuff with? They make it look like it was just Epstein and this woman. They made it look like it's just Epstein and Maxwell. They got all these girls, right? Threatened them all, right? Them, just them. And they done all these operations for years by themselves. That's why people have to look at the big picture. Who was helping these people do these things? Same thing with Puffy, right? These are people with money. They're not doing it physically themselves. They have to have some type of bodyguards, some type of people doing the service to collect these people with vehicles and drive them or fly them or whatever they're doing. The point is, there are other people involved in doing this whole trafficking stuff, right? Or did they do it willingly? Did the people who they say that he trafficked, he paid them to come meet up with him, and they're calling that trafficking? Oh, fly out here and stuff like that. Is that what they calling trafficking, or they're making it out to like he forced them, threatened their life, and they had to go where he said to go, and like, trust me, there's a lot more to this. 3 million files, yo. 3 million files. What the fuck is on all those files? I want to know what's on all these Epstein files. P Diddy and Jay Z have been in the sandbox. Well, right now Jay Z he kind of got away and screwed up one of the lawyers who was accusing him. So he's kind of out. He's kind of he got away. If like I don't want to say he did it, but like he's out of the spotlight now. Puffy's taking all the shots. Puffy's in a lockup right now. But this Epstein stuff is on another scale. Nothing bigger than this, because the people who was involved with Epstein are important people. Important people. You might not know them as big celebrities, but they're people who control governments, people, maybe diplomats, all types of people who are important, not no average Joe, right? Who was going on the Epstein Island? Who was going to the Epstein Island? What was that? What was he doing on the Epstein Island? How come we don't hear no big ass adults who probably was around Epstein talking about what was going on Epstein Island? Was he the only adult on Epstein Island? How come we don't hear nothing? Right? I heard they have another island. I believe so. But this is the thing. If Epstein done all this shit, right? He done all this shit. You're telling me there's no adults who were part of whatever. They said he had a cult too. So no one's concentrating on this cult thing. There's nobody who has witnessed really what was going on at Epstein Island. We're just hearing fairy tales. Is there like any characters, anyone that we know of? No, I never heard it. If there is, I'm not saying they ain't, but I haven't heard nobody come out and gave a good detail who was associated with Epstein. You know why? Because maybe they'll get locked up too. That's what it is. They probably will get their ass locked up, or they're scared that they will get locked up. It has to be because you're not hearing anybody talk. The only ones who's talking is the victims, or they said they got the stories from is the victims, and it was in Epstein Island. Those people they caught for Epstein wasn't on the. I never heard that they were on the island. I'm just saying, like those people came to his house in Florida, I think, massaging. He had girls massaging him in Florida, his estate in Florida. But what was going on the island? That's what everybody wants to know. That's the big mystery. They sent, I swear, a couple months ago, I seen that he said he sent some type of, I don't know if it's CIA or FBI to his to the Epstein Island. What's there? It's like the Area 51. No one is hearing about the Epstein Island. Who owns it? Epstein's dead now. Who controls it? They tell you that? You notice that? Epstein is dead. Who controls that island? Who owns the island? Who owns all the who holds the money, controls the money that he left behind? Who controls the money he left behind? Mystery. Who owns the island that he had? Mystery. We don't know any no one knows nothing. But this guy was convicted of something very, very bad. There's other people doing the same shit or similar, but his was remember he's a wealthy, wealthy person, if not near a billionaire. So that money he could use to do a lot of things compared to the average Joe. And he was doing it for years and years. Jim Carrey was on the Epstein Island. He sent a cease and desist letter to to a YouTuber. Oh, damn. Jim Carrey was on that island, eh? Interesting. And someone was talking about Jim Carrey in regards to the Epstein Island, and he sent something to them. That's some kind of nervousness. He's kind of nervous on this Epstein stuff. So that's an example of somebody who knows more. That's why I'm saying Jim Carrey's a big star. If he went to the Epstein Island, even if he was just invited and he didn't really know what it was, and he was invited and he saw shit, he probably doesn't want to say shit because the people he saw, those type of people, he wants to live a life. He wants to live a life, Jim Carrey. So he's not trying to say nothing about the Epstein Island. You know what I'm saying? He's trying to live a life. The Epstein Island was probably Epstein was a cult leader too. He was living different, excuse me, different lives. That Epstein Island was where he wanted people kind of like to worship him and shit like that. That shit is a pure cult shit he was doing. But we don't know who's the people who was with him. That's a mystery. That's what remains the mystery. Who's the people who was helping Epstein? Who's the people who was helping him with the cartels? Who? We're not hearing any characters, no names. All we hear about is Maxwell, who's locked up, and we hear about Epstein. We don't. And then they brought up Prince Andrew, and then they released him, and then no more. This is what I'm saying. That's why they're pushing all this other shit. That's why this war is going on. The main shit now is clear to see. The war is going on because of this Epstein stuff, right? Leonardo DiCaprio, I believe so. You know what I think? When a lot of certain Hollywood uh, actors get very big on a certain level and popular, they get popular in this certain community, they invite them to shit like where the Epstein Island. So remember, P. Diddy had Leonardo DiCaprio at his parties too. So I believe when you reach a certain level, even in entertainment, they invite you, not saying that you're part of the club, but it's to shock your ass, right? So, and it's not every celebrity they put in there. Not all the celebrities witnessed it. They might have heard of it, but I think it's like they choose you. Even as a celebrity, they choose certain celebrities to come witness this ritual types of shit where these even wealthier people do their shit and they see it, and in their brain they're not going to talk about it because these are the people who control their shit, aka Hollywood, aka their job. And if they talk anything against them, they either will not get no roles or no jobs, or they will unalive their ass. So people like that, and I believe Dave Chappelle probably got, he's one of the most current ones who got invited to a party like that. And that's why you see him go to Africa after that. And that's why you see his comedy, how he does it. I believe there's certain individuals, after you become influential, they invite you, especially influential and rich. They invite you to whatever that shit is, their meetings or rituals like Epstein Island and or some fuckery like that. That's what's been going on for a long time. That's why you see pictures of the president, Clinton, with Epstein. That's why you see pictures with Trump and Epstein, because certain people, like even Trump, was introduced to a party like that. You get what I mean? Long time ago. Actors and rappers speak out about it. They are ruining their careers. Yes. You know what? That makes sense why you're not hearing about no Trump big backlash from any big media personality, even comedian. Just look on it. I called it over and over. No one who's popular, I'll say it again, really popular, current, is going to say anything against certain things because they'll just ruin them or they'll make them look crazy. And it's happening. Like I'm saying, no one is talking against Donald Trump, who has a career right now. No one is going to be talking against him, who's relevant right now. People were thinking, will Drake say something? No. That'd be stupid if Drake was to say something. First of all, he's not American and he's Canadian, right? Second, what's sensitive, if he talked about any political shit, I just had to bring Drake into this. He's Jewish, all right? So, what I'm saying is, in regards to the Epstein stuff, that's even another kind of sensitive stuff because they're saying Epstein was helping um, to, like, Israel. That's what they were saying. People, please subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff. He was helping a group, right? Kind of like, some something with Israel, man. That's why America accused him, or conspiracy theorists accuse Epstein of being Mossad, being an agent for Israel, doing you know all types of shit, like a real James Bond type of shit. American but working for other country, right? What's that called? Espionage, right? They're accusing him of doing stuff with money too. That's not really big. They did accuse, I think, Epstein of doing some type of money scheme or something to deal with possible, in America, the money, saying that he was selling, I don't know, secrets, insider trading, or some shit like that. They did accuse. I think he's been accused of that from the American government. Correct me if I'm wrong, right? That's what Prince Andrew's been accused of. I think that's the story. Prince Andrew has been accused of, who's friends with Epstein, of selling secrets, insider, I think, trading and shit like that to Epstein. Because Epstein is a financier, money man, right? In America. So that's the connection. Like I'm saying, this story will get buried and they will try to continue to bury it unless something really blows up, some big name, somebody. But right now, nobody cares. Nobody cares. The war, perfect distraction. Epstein will be can be forgotten. It's hard to forget him now, but he can be forgotten. Forgotten so much that nobody cares. But there is things going on right now. Things are going on. People are getting called up to testify. People are getting called up to talk about the information of what they know about Epstein. A lot of people. Bill Gates is one of the last ones. Um, don't know if they'll call Trump to it. It'll be interesting if they call Trump to testify before Congress about the Epstein files. That's the only one who's really known, who's been seen in pictures, but Trump's going to say he cut off ties. His wife came out and just blurted a whole bunch of stuff a couple months ago, trying to cut herself from the whole Epstein stuff. People are saying she done that so she could avoid going to testify, right? Because she's scared that they're going to call her to testify in the Epstein shit. So she already came out and spoke herself. That was her own doing. No one called her to testify. She just came out right on the White House, talking, right? Like it was a special alert message. And she spoke of, you know, her not being involved in nothing with Epstein and cleared her name. That's what it was, trying to clear her name. So I don't know what people thought about that. Her just coming out, no one called her to testify. But she's talking about to clear her name that she had no involvement with Epstein, right? So, yeah, it shall continue. Guaranteed you won't hear too much people talking about this as a content maker about Epstein, who's, uh, you know, been influential to a lot of rich, wealthy men before people found out about his nasty obsession with young underage girls and trafficking. So he was influential long time before, doing a lot of business that was important to a lot of important people. Probably worked for the government in some type of way. But yeah, what could I say? It's the Down to Earth Network with your host Sean Myrie, and I'm out.